Hi everyone, my name's Ayayeshe. I'm a Buddhist nun of 19 years. It's a great pleasure to be part of the Shire Wellness Festival. So now is a time where we're all very much in lockdown, we've been isolated. One way of looking at this is that it's very difficult, which is understandable because we're separated from the ones we love, from the careers that give us a sense of identity and purpose. Our children are quite often at home with us. That can be challenging managing them all the time. But another way of looking at it is, okay, here's my chance to be a Himalayan hermit. Here's my chance to develop that skill I've always wanted to develop, to write a book, to learn Spanish, to meditate. Here is my chance for a bit of quiet reflection. So meditation is not that mysterious. It's basically emptying the mind of things that aren't that important and learning to connect with what lies, the space between thoughts, the luminous clarity of our basic goodness. Because the blue sky is always there, the mind is very much like the sky. Thoughts arise, abide, and dissolve. And that basic goodness, that basic peace, all those good qualities of kindness, empathy, compassion are there underneath the thoughts and clouds that arise, that come and go. It's important that we acknowledge that feelings, going through challenges in life is part of being human. And it's important that on a spiritual path, our spiritual path does make room for authenticity, for real emotions, for real challenges, and the acknowledgement that every time we cast a shadow, we cast a light, there is a shadow. But at the same time, there is this, this goodness, this peace that we can connect with that is a source of refuge in our challenging times as well. So both of those paradigms exist, and engaging with not only the rose of insight, the beautiful clarity that comes from meditation, but making the trauma, the challenges that we've faced in our life, making that part of our spiritual practice, a chance to process emotion, to feel trauma and feelings without actually drowning in them, to neither suppress nor act out on emotions, but to just notice, and to notice what the experience of that somatically in our bodies rather than just the storyline in our heads, because sometimes if we get caught in a storyline of trauma, we're not actually connecting with the feeling underneath. Anyway, either way, whether you're seeking the peace or joy of a peaceful mind, or whether you're someone who wishes to let go of some challenging, to heal some challenging emotions, some challenging trauma, meditation gives you a little bit of mental space to do that. And it's a great skill to have for stress management, as well as just, developing a spiritual practice, a deeper insight into the sacred, into the big picture, so to speak. So most important is to sit up straight, to make sure your spine is straight, your head is not too far forward or too far back. It's probably better if you're an able-bodied, relatively fit person to sit on the floor with a cushion underneath your hips. And if you're someone who is not so able-bodied, then maybe a chair. I find if I sit in a chair too long, though, my mind starts to wander because I'm not using that strength to focus my mind. And basically we just start, sometimes early in the morning is a good time to start meditating, 15, 20 minutes a day, but to do it regularly. You don't expect a check after one day of work. You get a check at the end of the week. And likewise with meditation, there is no shortcut, there is no miracle. You have to do it every day, a bit like yoga or jogging or exercise or a relationship. To get the benefits of that, you have to put in the long-term work. But it can be incredibly rewarding. And with meditation, we're not trying to control our minds too much. We're not trying to force any kind of special states or ecstasy, or if we have a good experience in meditation, we're not trying to cling on to that and repeat it. We're simply embracing the present moment as it is with our raw, clear awareness. So just, close your eyes and allow yourself to become aware of your breath coming in and out of your nose. Let go of tension. What is the quality of the breath coming in and out of your nose? Is it deep or shallow? Fast or slow? Whenever a thought arises, just notice it and then bring your mind back to the breath. And you'll find, in a period of 15 or 20 minutes, maybe start with 5 or 10 minutes. Most people can't concentrate for more than 20 seconds. It's natural for the mind to wander. It's habituated towards distraction. But to just patiently keep bringing it back to the breath without too much judgment or commentary. Just enjoy your breath coming in and out of your nose. So I'll invite you to pause this video and to meditate for 5 or 10 minutes on your breath before we continue with a guided meditation. So pause here. Okay, so we're back and we're feeling probably a little more spacious and peaceful, or maybe we're realizing meditation isn't as easy as we thought. It's basically a bit like yoga or aerobics. You develop the strength of your muscles over time. So it's the same in meditation. You develop concentration over time. But when you have concentration, it means you have freedom, because you have the freedom to choose what thoughts and feelings you take up and to let go of what is no longer serving you. And it can create the space you need, the clarity you need to make wise decisions in your life, to not always be completely reactive or, addicted to sensory pleasure, but to just create spaciousness. And spaciousness creates more joy, more peace. And with meditation, it's not like you get magical answers, but sometimes answers do arise in meditation. When there is a clarity of mind, it's just easier to not get caught in habit energies, to not make mistakes from the past. So now we'll continue with a guided meditation. So just send yourself, imagine that there is a beautiful warm sun in your heart, radiating beautiful golden energy all through your body. And the nature of that energy is loving kindness, unconditional love, and warm regard for yourself. Just wish yourself to be well and happy, peaceful and at ease. Just close your eyes as you're listening to my voice. Allow this beautiful golden energy to fill your whole body. And with that energy of loving kindness, sometimes we're really down on ourselves. We think we're not good enough. We remember all the times we failed to live by our deepest values. But just let that go, because it's hard to love others if you don't fill up your own cup first, if you don't believe you deserve loving kindness, that believe that you have the potential to reach for what you most deeply value, to embody that. So feel that good energy, that warmth, that kindness towards yourself. You're okay, you're good enough. And with this good energy, this visualization, just imagine, may I be well, silently say to yourself, may I be happy, may I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May I be well. May I be happy. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Feeling that loving kindness energy, just filling your whole body with warmth and well-being. Just kind of fake it till you make it. Just do this for a minute or two. And now thinking of someone who is close to you, perhaps a mother, a father, grandmother, maybe a puppy you had when you were a child, just an object of loving kindness. Imagine them as you remember them best and send them the blessings of your life. Just as you feel joy, just as you hope not to suffer, you want to be happy, and you feel the acute pain of the human condition of loss and hope and anxiety. Everybody feels joy and sorrow just as acutely as you do. Everybody's tears are salty. Everybody's blood is red. So send this kind person or animal, even a tree, if you find it hard to think of someone that has given you a lot of kindness, your child. But just think of them, excuse me, with love. Send them loving kindness. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Doing this for a few minutes, remembering that person's kindness, sending them good wishes. So now finally, send your energy to all the people, because we've been very fortunate in Australia, but actually many people in other countries have died. Thousands of people have died from this virus. And many people suffer in poverty. Many people suffer domestic violence, gender oppression, oppression for sexual orientation or their race, religion. You know, people suffer in so many ways. And in many ways, we are very blessed. You know, if we're here able to take the time to watch this video, it probably means we have enough food and shelter. Many people in the world do not even have that. So they are just like you. They want to be happy. They don't want to suffer. So just as if they're your own child, send them your loving kindness. Radiate the blessings of your life to them. Think, may you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. May you be well. May you be happy. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be filled with loving kindness and compassion. Feel that love filling your heart, because everybody's connected. Everybody grows your food, helps educate you, pays taxes so you can get health care. The women who pick your tea for the tea leaves for your tea, the cow that gives its milk for your tea, your parents who gave you a body. None of us is an island. We are all intimately connected. Everything we have, this body, the food, education, the money we earn from our jobs, everything comes from others, and therefore we are intimately connected. May all beings be happy. May they be free of suffering. May they be safe and well. Send them your loving kindness. Feel that warmth in your heart. Sabe sata sukhi huntu. Sabe sata sukhi huntu. Sabe sata sukhi huntu. And now just do a short reflection on gratitude and on all the good karma you've made in your life, the good things you've done. It's very easy to live our life thinking we don't have enough. Think about what is going wrong instead of what is going right. But just for a moment, think about the good thing you've done in your life. You know, maybe you sponsored a child in India or Africa. Maybe you gave birth to someone, you gave them a human life. Maybe you're keeping an animal alive. Maybe you visit nursing homes, you help your parents. Maybe you're a teacher or a nurse whose job is by nature service. Maybe you just made someone happy. You visited a lonely person. You made a donation to a charity. You donated some clothes to Goodwill. Just take a moment to think about the good things you've done with your life, to feel happy and to rejoice in having done good things. Think about that for a minute. So now, if you realize you haven't done many good things, just make a determination to do good things, to help others and yourself in the future. And if you realize you've done good things, rejoice in that, be happy, see how good it makes you feel, and determine to do more in the future. Think of what is going well in your life, what there is to be grateful for. You have shelter, you have food, you have clean water, you have education. Even if you only finish year 12, that is more than a lot of people have. Half the world lives on $3.25 a day. So see the good things you have. Do you have a loving partner, kind parents? Did you have a stable childhood? Do you have healthy children? Even if there are many things wrong in your life, just think about, for now, the things that are working really well and feel a sense of gratitude for those. Rejoice in those things. I am enough. I have enough. My cup is half full. In many ways in Australia, we're extremely blessed. So rejoice in that. So that's our guided meditation today. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to talk about how spirituality should lead to social engagement and should lead to social justice. Some people think that they imagine the spiritual path to be climbing a path of solitude, of leaving the sorrows of the world behind. They imagine monks in the Himalayas living in isolation. or they imagine a blonde woman sitting in a yoga studio going like this. But really, life is much more complex and messy than that. And that's also part of the spiritual path. Emotions, even anger, rage, jealousy, we have to make friends with these difficult emotions. And these difficult things that happen to us, loss, sickness, um, epidemics, losing your job, the ups and downs of life, it's natural. And anyone who sells you a brand of spirituality that says nothing bad will ever happen to you is lying to you. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the conclusion I've come to in 19 years as a Buddhist nun. The spiritual path has to contain both the light and the dark. And we often view perhaps something like dung or, as something disgusting. But if you think about it, the dung, the messy stuff, makes the best compost that makes the beautiful flowers grow. The lotus looks beautiful above the water, but underneath it's planted in mud. So our life has to be informed by an honesty and an authenticity about our own limitations, our own imperfections, a radical self-examination of ourselves. So we're not deceiving ourselves with the spiritual path. We're not bypassing difficult emotions, bypassing trauma. And that is why, as well as meditation, as well as yoga, therapy, morality, generosity, ethics are a really important part of the spiritual path of joy and wellness. And so is developing the mind, developing the peace of the mind, learning to have some control over the mind so that our mind is just not out of control all the time, which creates so much confusion and suffering when we just follow whatever arises in our mind, And not every impulse that arises in our mind is wholesome or healthy. For example, an addict has the impulse to find oblivion from their pain or find wholeness and love because perhaps they didn't get it growing up in substance abuse or codependent relationships or overworking, anything to avoid that loneliness, that inner emptiness. And that is, facing that hole inside, that loneliness, that uncertainty of life is also part. Making friends with the places that scare us, those difficult emotions, are also part of the spiritual path. So, that is the part of the spiritual path that is an inner work, that is self-compassion, self-care, finding a balance every day for some spiritual practice. But that in itself is not enough. We don't meditate just to leave the world behind, just to find oblivion, just for our own pleasure. It has to, there's nothing wrong with any of that. All of us need to feel good and have a baseline of security, well-being, happiness, peace. And it really is true that happiness is within, that it's an inner job, that you don't need to go outside and spend lots of money. You can find peace in your own heart. You can find fulfillment so that you don't need to constantly seek validation outside. But having found that, having developed a spiritual practice, having developed a nice connection with a yoga studio or spiritual friends or a spiritual teacher or a wellness practice, we also have two hands, right? We have one for helping ourselves and we have one for helping others. So an important part that has to follow on from our spiritual practice is benefiting others as much as we benefit ourselves. When you go into a state of wholeness, of peace, when you touch the base, the ground of being, when your mind becomes spacious, limitless like the sky, you go beyond gender, you go beyond race, you go beyond class. You realize that we're all worthy of love. We're all essentially good. And that is refreshing. That is beautiful because you kind of lose your fear of death, of getting old, of not being good enough. You don't worry so much if you don't achieve everything in the world. You become more at peace, more content, more able to hold space for yourself without running away. Hold to your seat. A witness to your own crazy mind. We call it monkey mind, the mind that's always jumping from one desire, one thought to another. And, the lifestyle that is conducive to the spiritual path, conducive to peace, is one of simplicity, of reducing our wants and just focusing on our needs, so that we can also not only develop peace in ourselves, but reduce our carbon footprint on the planet and become a more productive, caring, benevolent member of society. Why is that so? Why does every religion, every spiritual path talk about and praise generosity, praise those who serve others, who live for a higher purpose than themselves? Because others are our second self. Everything we have comes from others. Without our parents, we wouldn't be born. We call it non-self elements. We're like a rug, A rug seems solid, seems permanent, seems independent. But if you look deeply, we have many non-self elements woven into the rug of our existence. Our mother, our father, water, earth, the farmer who grows our food, education, culture, gender, gender preference, human rights, the people who fought for human rights, the people who got children out of factories, who got women the vote, who ended slavery, the conquest of land from indigenous people, the legacy of colonialism, which can sometimes be a violent one. All of those things are woven into the rug of our existence. And if you don't take care of the water, you'll get sick. If you don't take care of the earth, you won't get good food. If we don't take care of the planet, our children won't have a future. If we live in a society where there is a massive gap between rich and poor, and there are homeless people everywhere, it will create instability in society. And in a developed country like America or Australia, there is absolutely no reason why people need to be homeless. There absolutely is money for housing. It actually costs more money for a homeless person to be out on the street in terms of social workers, emergency workers in hospitals, the amount of medicine it costs when someone gets really sick from being homeless. In the long term, it actually makes more sense for someone to be housed. There's no reason someone has to be hungry in this country. It's simply apathy. And when you realize, when you go into this state of peace, you realize there is a sacred interconnectedness bonding us all together. You realize others are our second self. Every person is a result of spiritual, physical, social conditions, economic conditions. They're like a seed, and if you change the conditions, that person can blossom, that person can transform. And we can see that very clearly. Children come into the world not knowing very much. They learn everything from their parents. So if a child is raised in caring conditions, not always, but most likely it's going to turn out much better than a child who doesn't receive any love and affection and grow in where it gets enough food and education. There'll be a stark contrast between those two children. And even in later life, people can learn better skills for relationships, communicating, caring for their health. If they know better, they can do better. So happiness is not just a personal matter. Our well-being is connected to others. If someone in a family is suffering, it affects everyone in the family. And if someone in society and the world is suffering, it will sooner or later come back and create instability and suffering for us as well. That is why caring for others is caring for ourselves. Caring for the planet is caring for our children, for ourselves. And what we do for others, we do for ourselves. In India, we say the hand of the giver is never empty. That is why the outcome, the fruit, the roots of spiritual practice are inside us, of finding peace. All that goodness is inside you, purifying the mind, finding joy, finding peace. But the outcome of that, what use is your peace and your high states of samadhi, your ability to wrap your leg around your head, if you can't be kind, if you can't have compassion for your fellow human beings, if you don't make the world a better place than when you left it? That is the essential thing, that action needs to come out of spirituality. Action needs to come out of your yoga practice, out of your, your fruit fast, that you have more clarity of mind, you do less harm to animals, to the planet, to other human beings. and that you develop a vast and boundless love going for yourself in a healthy way, but also for others. And happiness is not just a personal matter, it is a communal matter. So from the roots of spirituality, of wisdom, of going inside, of developing peace, of purifying our own mind, it also has to go into the ecosystem of interbeing. The roots, the trunk is our spiritual practice. The leaves are our benevolence, our reaching out for justice, because justice is how love looks in public. And that is very important. Because if someone doesn't have basic housing, a healthy emotional environment, enough food, they're going to grow up as members of society that are dysfunctional, abusive, addicted to drugs, that we will have to pay for, that will do harm, that will do crime, that will abuse, So the cycle continues. That is why, for our own well-being, we also need to do some altruism, donating some of our income for the welfare of others, doing actions like volunteering in a soup kitchen, joining an environmental protest, caring for the planet. And it's a balance. You can't just give and go outside and you're not looking at your own mind, because then you'll burn out. You'll become a rage-filled activist. But if you're coming from a place of peace, your activism will be very sustainable and very powerful. So that's what I have to say about healing, about finding peace, and about the importance of bringing noble action, right action, as well as our regular own journey inside. Building community, building love, respecting diversity, because not everyone is the same. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to be part of this wonderful festival, and I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. All the best.